Assalamu alaikum. My name is Omar Ilyas. I'm inshallah going to be starting my second year in the Miftaah Associates program. Aside from the amazing curriculum in fiqh and seerah, in tafsir and in Arabic, what Miftaah does beautifully well is it cultivates a mindset on how to approach sacred knowledge in the first place. And there's no class that better exemplifies that than Mufti Abdul Rahman's class on the etiquettes of a seeker. And in that class, you learn the adab that is required to approaching knowledge, whether Islamic or not, in the first place, right? The environment you have to create, the clothes that you wear, to the way you sit. And that same mindset is what allows students at Miftaah to not confine their Islamic journey to these 3 years, but to look at these 3 years in the associate program as a starting point, to continue for the rest of their lives being students and pursuing the sacred knowledge of Islam. And there's something that Mufti Abdul Wahab actually once said in class, almost casually, that has stuck with me, that if you're not progressing in your Islam, you're regressing. And there's no better phrase that exemplifies what Miftaah truly stands for and what sets it apart. That it creates students that when they leave Miftaah, they continue on this pursuit of ilm and they continue on this pursuit of Islam.
I remember last year in Mufti Abdul Wahab's hadith class, he asked the class a question. He said, "How do you know if your heart is still alive?" The first point he made was, when you're on your own, is your heart thinking about Allah or is it thinking about worldly things? The second point he made was, when you're listening to Quran or reading Quran, are you enjoying it or is it just background noise? And number 3, when you're in gatherings, are you mentioning Allah in your gatherings or is it just about day-to-day things? Those 3 things really resonated with me because it helped me be more conscious of Allah in my day-to-day life. I also have to mention all my other Miftaah teachers and classes that have helped teach me things that I can continue to incorporate in my day-to-day life.
One of the classes I really enjoyed in Miftaah was Sheikh Abdullah's class, Families of the Sahabis. And I find this class really interesting because it provides more context and details when you're learning about hadith and seerah, because it goes into different aspects of Sahabis and their families and how they played an important role in the spread of Islam and different stories that you hear about. And I think it's just cool to see how it's all intertwined.
This semester, we're taking a class with Mufti Abdul Rahman about the grammatical breakdown of Surah Mulk. For me, through my childhood, I constantly read this surah all the time out of habit, but I never really stopped to think about what the meaning of it was. Other than doing the tafsir maybe once or twice, I never really looked at it from a different perspective. But with this class, we did just that. We sat down and looked at each ayah and each word from a grammatical perspective, which completely changed my understanding of the surah. Now, every time I read it, it's not just about saying the words, it's about looking at the words and seeing how they fit with the word that comes after it. And this isn't just true for Surah Mulk, it's true for every time I read the Quran now. I'm able to look at it from a completely new perspective and I'm able to understand it on a deeper level. Each class that I've taken with Miftaah is like this, where every time I learn something new, I find new ways to incorporate it into my life. And in the end, all of it comes together to help me strengthen the bond that I have with Islam and with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.